Akwa Ibom, it was interesting to have the influx of people. Literally, the structure of the PDP in our state. I mean, business got better. Our hotels were all booked, and our restaurants, I mean, our markets were busy. All of those things were good. But I'm just wondering, I mean, what is really the reference point of the PDP? In Akwa Ibom, especially when we make reference to Alscan, with the fingerprints of Atiku on it. And there is also the Ibom Deep Sea Port. These are things that we would have loved to have in our state. So to
Okay.
make it look like the PDP and your interest in our state is really something mutual, both of us can benefit from. So what's really your own party's selling point?
Well, first of all, I'm coming to those issues that you surfaced, but let me say something. Akwa Ibom, more than any other state in Nigeria, has always been under PDP control in the state since 1999. And to the party and the individuals that have led, Akwa Ibom, for me, is the evidence that Africans in Nigeria can organize their own environment. Your built-up spaces are really very good. The second thing is that it was a PDP government that put together the 13% derivation formula that catapulted the money that comes into Akwa Ibom to be a lot more than you can possibly imagine. And therefore, every time you do a project, every time you commission a project, remember that that money was paid for from somewhere, and that the quantum of the monies that come into Akwa Ibom was as a result of a policy of PDP. Now, back to the ones they were talking about, Ascon and a few other, the deep sea ports. You see, the business model of some of these big enterprises has to make sense. If the business model does not make sense, it will not work. It doesn't matter how much you use to start it. Imagine the business model of Ajaokuta. Why is it not working? But anybody who understands the concept of how to make big organizations like Alscon, like Dipsico, you will know that it's always best to give it to private sector. And private sector does not give you an absolute guarantee that business cannot fail. Because even in your small private lives, you start some businesses, you put a lot of energy to it, and somehow it just doesn't work. If it had been in the hands of government, there will be liabilities, there will be pensions, there will be salary, there will be all of the things that can affect it. But when it's not in the hands of government, it's private sector to deal with. And I believe that eventually the private sector environment will improve and some other uptakers will be able to take that company and do more with it. We created it anyway. The point I'm making is that you cannot insist that you don't understand what privatization is all about. Privatization means that government can fund, government can promote, but indeed government cannot run business. The NNPC that government is running, what's the result? If we had sold it off to private sector and it was working, we'll be getting our taxes. And you cannot keep the total amount of resource that comes to government only to the paid up capital to get the asset. What about the other things like the equity, the interest, the taxes, and so on and so forth? I'm saying to Akwa Ibom, your deep sea port will happen, but until the business model makes sense, you can build it and it will not work. What about the ones that are all over Delta? Has it worked any differently? We should not mislead the public into thinking that there's any sinister motive why these things are not being done. I believe that the approvals for that deep sea port is in place. I believe that now that your economy is beginning to pick up and you are beginning to do some other thing, you have an airline, you will eventually have that seaport. But I tell you, government can't find the money to do all the businesses. A private sector framework that is bankable is what is going to bring it. So Akwa Ibom, be happy for the strides that you have made. Be ambitious for the ones you want to make. But ultimately, indeed, this is the glory of our land. And I think PDP has more than enough to campaign with here. All you have to do is look around. Everything you give to Obongata is PDP. Everything you give to Akpabio is PDP. And certainly everything you give to the extremely dynamic Governor Udom is PDP. And if by the grace of God I trust you to stand and keep faith to the party, everything you are going to do to Umo, the incoming governor, again will be PDP. Sustainable management of your state, you all are the ones that are the greatest beneficiary. You just need to go to other states, and when you come back home, you will appreciate what you have here. So PDP has been good to Akwa Ibom and will be better in the future.
Well, I have conversations with our people on these candidates, Mr. Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar, and Tinubu, all these most outstanding candidates. I mean, it always sounds like the conversation on Atiku is the fact that he's going to privatize everything. And his antecedents when it comes to privatization hasn't been really mouth-watering or pleasant. Why should Nigerians trust him with their vote?
The things that Atiku has privatized, your government can't even run them. Could government run telecoms before he privatized it? Could government run fertilizer companies before it was privatized? Could government really run Nigerian Airways? Look, the business model for privatization does not mean government cannot have some equity in it. Privatization doesn't have to be 100%. You can do a mixed portfolio, but some of the critical energies for investment, ability to borrow money abroad and all that, and the ability to not give that liability to government is better with private. We privatized bank. We liberalized it. Before then, maybe you need to remind your people, your parents picked tallies and came back after 2 or 3 days to get a little money, even though it was their money. Have you ever had that again? Stop seeing everything as not being successful. A whole lot of private sector economy has worked. A whole lot of young people are able to do so many things by themselves without even knowing that they're enjoying the benefits of privatization. A whole lot of new energy in the creative industry is taking place because of privatization. The economy is working. Don't insist. You can't, what Dangote can do, what Femi Otedola can do, a director in the ministry can't do it.
You mean what monopoly can do?
No, you don't. Well, use whatever words you want. There's no monopoly anywhere. There's no industry they're in that others can play in. Big is big in business. You think what America can do, Ghana can do? It is not like that. Life doesn't work that way. What's on the table is that those that are in civil service government work can't manage business. And there's no point kidding ourselves. If NNPC was a private sector company, we will not be importing fuel. And we'll still be getting our money from taxes and dividends and royalties and all of that. Why do you think that you have to own it? The banks are not, they are paying salaries. They don't have that problem. Do you know how many pensioners we have to take care of in all of those old banks? And they couldn't even, come on. You are this generation ought to be too educated and informed than to be thinking in the archaic ways of those that don't understand where the world is. Yes, there must be a way to accommodate the poor in the budget. I accept that. But you can do that via education and health. But to insist that you are going to accommodate the poor in the budget, that's the reason why you create a white elephant project that is not giving government money, is draining us, is not helping out. No, that's not the way to go. So don't misinterpret it and don't miseducate the public. Businesses, world over, you don't even have money now in the country. Nigerians are too naive to see that we are living on other people's borrowed money. And we're just lucky that they are still willing to borrow us. What happens for a second if the people that were going to go and beg from borrow us money just for a second? Just think about it as a thought.
PDP was borrowing too.
That's not the point. I wasn't making a PDP or APC. Now you need to let me answer this question. What happens if for a second nobody borrows us money? What next? So we need to think up another model. Privatization is not like they're borrowing us money. They will give us money to take it. They will run it with their own capital. They can bring in fresh money. They'll take over the headache and we'll get the money. What's wrong with that? But if you are emotionally attached to the fact that you want them to say Akwa Ibom PLC is the owner of, what's that? What does that really mean? People are interested in efficiency. People are interested in businesses that give dividends to government. People are interested in things that work. People are interested in a lot of things that give people basis to say, oh, this is beautiful. Have you been to Dubai?
Now, on
Most
that
of their things are also
topic,
private sector driven.
Mr. Showunmi, the speeches and the manifestos did not truly hit the messages that we wanted to hear. How your party, if it clinches power in 2023, would address the issues of flood, insecurities, poverty in the land, and the fact that things are so expensive.
A political
also, okay, a political rally is not supposed
I'm
to
trying
address
to tell
the
you,
people
a gathering of people in a political rally, the energy that is generated, the gyrations and the camaraderie hardly gives enough room for detailed conversations. That's why we're the only ones that have a contract to the people. The document is out there. I'm here answering questions. You want to know what we've done on flood? Akwa Ibom wants to know what Akpabio did on flood. It's not a completed process. You have to understand that, oh, I wish we could just peel back Akwa Ibom to 1999 before the PDP governors came. I wish we could peel back to before Udom Emmanuel came. I wish we could peel back to before Akpabio came. I wish we could peel back to become Ibonata.
No, this is not just
I'm
about
trying to explain to you
not
that.
about Akwa Ibom.
Let me
so
try.
Many persons
I
that
am trying to explain
today.
to you that. Beg your pardon. I'm trying to explain to you that the process by which we govern a nation does not have an imagination that the man in Abuja, the president, is going to do everything. We have designed it in such a way that there are local governments, there are states, and there's the federal. And Atiku has even promised that he would even give more powers to the states and all of that. Why? Because you cannot conceive a policy in Abuja and implement it in Akwa Ibom. Let me use here where we are in Unuyo, without being aware of what your people are saying.
Are you
So
saying we should trust that Atiku would restructure the nation?
Atiku has been talking about restructuring longer than any other human being in this country. And he has been talking about it consistently, even when it was not popular. You know, the thing about Atiku that I want you to see, when Atiku was going to do the 2019 election, Atiku said, I'm going to privatize the NNPC. It was not a popular position, but he bravely said it. And he bravely owned it. People were saying all sorts, making it look like there's anything sinister there. Where are we today? Those who came in who said they don't know about subsidy, they bled the country to death on subsidy. Now they are saying they can't sustain it. So it means that, aside the fact that Atiku wants to govern, Atiku is not playing to the gallery of populism like his rivals. His rivals just say popular things. They don't say realistic things. They don't say well thought out things. And they don't say real things.
Now that you have mentioned his rivals, I'd like to bring your mind to this particular conversation. It would be the last question, actually. Now, you cannot ignore totally the fact that the emergence of Mr. Peter Obi will eat deeply into the chunk of the votes that go to the PDP if it wanted to go there. I mean, before now, we used to have mostly just two popular choices, right? Either the PDP or the APC. And now we have a third force, I could say, a very powerful one. Are you going to ignore the fact that so many people, young people, are clamoring for change that they believe can only come from Mr. Peter Obi? What do you think?
I think Peter Obi is pushing young people dangerously on a journey that he doesn't even know. I like when an Obama steps onto the fray, you will know. He'll be talking about solutions. He'll be very detailed. He'll be drilling down. When a beer parlor analyst runs from one television station to the other, talking about the problem, making people angry, and encouraging his followers to be rude and irritating to everybody on social media, even if somebody has an alternative view, they go to all lengths. That's not how to rule a country. And that's not even how to get votes. He won't get that number. At best, even in the Southeast, February is going to remove the scale from everybody's eyes. Established parties have candidates, not just one presidential candidate. Established parties have governorship candidates. Established parties have House of Assembly candidates. Established parties have senatorial candidates. Established parties have reps candidate. All of these established parties have local government chairmen. Established parties have councillors. All of these ones are going to be contributing their followers to their establishment. All this flight by night, jumping up and down, screaming, Malecha, that is going up and down, saying, it's all hogwash.
Is the Labour Party not an established party?
Every time, no. The Labour Party is an ideological party that is to the left. I'm even amazed that an ideological party that should maybe be a little bit more welfareist and socialist has gone to go and put himself in bed with a crass capitalist, and a crass capitalist like Peter Obi now is acting as though he's even a socialist. So you kind of like wonder, where is the ideological underpinning?
Why do you call him a crass capitalist?
He's a businessman, he's a venture capitalist. All he does is trade. Trading is not socialism. Trading is looking for profit. Trading is looking for money. Peter has never been a socialist. He's never leaned that way. So I'm amazed at how can you, it's like saying you bring the Russian president just to shock you, and then you tell him to come and run in the Democratic Party of America, and then the next day in the morning, he starts doing like he's a Democrat more than the people there. Political parties are not just election vehicles. Political parties must have ideological underpinnings. Peter Obi's ideological underpinnings is at variance with Labour, because when he was governor, it was good for him to sit down there and allow people to be on strike for months and ends, and then suddenly he's not the friend of Labour, or he's not just the friend of anybody that can give him a platform, because he was a friend of Abgar. He said he would never live there, he left. He was a friend of PDP. We even went as far as making him vice presidential candidate. We picked him among many. And then suddenly now, it's Peter Obi now that you're going to use as a paradigm for judging what? Peter I applaud his bravery, but it's time to smell the coffee. This election is a two-horse race, and I believe that the PDP will win. Where will he get the numbers in the rural north? Does he not have his history with them? Do they not remember what he did as governor there to them? Where is he going to get the number from rural southwest? Have you even asked the people in rural Akwa Ibom, the EFIC, the BBOs and co, whether they are ready to go that route? Are your senatorial candidates not going to canvass for votes? Do you expect all the politicians here to just sleep and allow? Come on, man. This is not an NSAS movement. This is a detailed political campaign. Agitations are not the only things that win you power. Structure does. Planning does. Messaging does. Knowledge and understanding does. The ability to form government does. Hitting the ground running does. Knowing what you're even talking about does. I mean, you ask him, how are you going to bring down the exchange rate? You tell him the same one answer to every question. When I take the government, I am going to make the people not to be able to take money. Hello? How are you going to manage the rural north, where a lot of people have to even be retrained to be able to get skills? You are not going to be able to run government as if you are selling ketchup or selling potato or selling beer. And it doesn't even have the public sector integrity that can carry. Somebody who can take government money and put it in his father's business. Are you for real?
Your energy in talking about Mr. Peter Obi is a lot more passionate than when
No,
we were talking
I
about
tell you
your
why.
candidates.
No, I tell you why that is so. Because I see the danger in what Peter is doing. And the danger is this. He's going to lead young people on a hopeful gyration that will fail. And then what then becomes their reaction when they finally see that he has not approached it well. And let us just hope that he will not leave them again, because it's like Peter to do that. Peter needs a different political party and a different ideology for every time he wants to make an effort. If he is going to stay with the Labour Party and strengthen it and prepare it for the candidacy of the future, all well and good. But come on, We have allowed him on
Nigerians
holiday
had
for a long
tried
time.
the PDP.
It's truly nice talking to you. Thank you very much. Bye.
Nigerians had tried the PDP. They also have tried the APC. Now they didn't get what they wanted, and so it's time
What
for
didn't you
another
get as a
option.
Nigerian? If I peel back 23 years ago, I try and imagine where you were. And I try and imagine that maybe when you get home, you need to
Take
ask,
into consideration the fact that
Yeah,
things
no,
are different.
Yeah, I know. I want you to peel back 23, 24 years. And if you have your folks still around, your cousins, your uncles, the civil servants, I need you to go and ask them. And what they will tell you is this: if not for PDP, we probably not even be able to send our kids to school. Because the funding arrangement, the economy was depressed. It took a lot of infusion to create this boisterous economy that people can do things on their own. People are making money from just making makeups. People are making money from making skits. People are making money from singing. People are making money from doing content. People are making money from doing graphic. People are making money from event organizing. We created a diverse set of industries. We have just not captured it well.
To put it rightly, wouldn't you say the hardships you created has pushed people into good creativity?
I don't understand how they treat journalists, the journalism is now. Nobody creates hardship.
Do you believe people or parties or governments weaponize poverty?
No, we've never been part of those type. Maybe the APC, but not PDP. In the PDP era, it was always about life abundance. There's a reason why people are in the name of our party.
Let's not forget the fact that people voted the APC because they were tired of...
No, people were deceived with propaganda that they'll create a mountain out of a molehill. Political parties can't be winning elections all the time. Don't get that wrong. I have no problem with parties winning today and losing tomorrow. That's not a problem. What I have a problem is political parties saying things to young people that they know they can never achieve. This was how we were warning. We kept shouting. The antecedent of these people is not suggesting that they can do this. The Nigerians gullibly follow them. Where's the result now? How much are you buying bread for? How much are you buying it now? Can you even afford to feed yourself a snack of Indomie? What can you truly afford now? What can anybody afford? What can I afford? What can you afford? How much are we buying this? How much are we buying all these things? And if it's so, how come inflation is not being tamed? If it's so, how come the exchange rate is not being tamed? If it is so, how come we are owing so much? So we don't have a problem.
As we say,
no, we don't have a problem with the Nigerians.
As we thank you for finding
Let me finish my final word. We don't have a problem with the Nigerians going out there to test APC, but I hope you have enjoyed it. Now you have been given an opportunity now to retrace your step and go back to your darling party. You better all just let's take it for the benefit of all of us and for our born children. I mean, as schools have been on strike for 7 months, and if you ask and say it happened like that in the past, must the past be the present and must the present be the future? Are things not meant to improve? They've scored 0 on almost all fronts. Thank you very much. It was nice talking to you.
I hope Ogun State treats you kindly. So when next we'll be talking, we'll be calling you Your Excellency, and we'll still have this energy then.
I will. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I pray so.